It is amazing how bad these people are at the PR game. Like that they don't even go, maybe we shouldn't be seen as viciously attacking Miss Rachel, the lady who sings songs for 3-year-olds. She's a Jew hater, Rob, for committing the crime of going, I sure do feel bad for these Palestinian 3-year-olds. They left Candace off this year, and she's the #1 podcast. She's putting in work.
The 2025 Anti-Semite of the Year finalists have been released. The list is out there. The names have been announced. Who are the prominent voices on there? Any surprises this year? Who got left behind? That's what Dave Smith is answering in this clip. Let's get into it in exposing the absurdity of this distinction. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Well, Pierce did bring up the they did that like Stop Anti-Semitism group does their every year. I guess they do their Anti-Semite of the
Tucker
year.
Was nominated this year. He was on the
Tucker
top
got
left
in.
corner.
Yeah, I have never been nominated, which seems crazy. Although
How much do you have to do? You put your work in this past year. Who criticized Israel more than you?
Well, I gotta say Fuentes didn't get nominated either, and that did. In a weird way, like, I don't know. It's so weird. It was like, like if you were up for an Oscar, but there was like an amazing movie that didn't get nominated, you're like, I guess the whole thing's bullshit. I mean,
if Fuentes was nominated and then did an award ceremony for himself to receive the award.
That'd be pretty funny. Well, it is. I don't know, man. It's wild. So yeah, I saw it. So Pierce pulls it up, and I was curious if the guy could even defend it because he had just been talking about anti-Semitism. He couldn't. He didn't even try to. But we all just said on there, like, first of all, there's 3 people on it who I know, like personally know. So there's Tucker Carlson, Cenk Uygur, and Anna Kasparian. The idea that any of them are Jew haters is just ridiculous. It's just like you could only. I don't know, in the same way that Larry Ellison was the blackface of white supremacy or something like that. Like only by the wokest definition of bigotry could you accuse any of those 3. I've never said anything about the Jews. Their criticism was about Israel, the Israel lobby, and wars of aggression.
Yeah, the whole thing is just so preposterous. This whole contest, the Anti-Semite of the Year award stuff, it's just become a total meme. It's totally absurd and comical when you have these names, but that's not it. There's more that comes from this, and there's so many preposterous ones right here in the finalists. I said that my initial response to posts like this is it must be fake, and then I realized the Zionists have terrible PR, so I truly hope that it is Miss Rachel that wins this to open up eyes to the absurdity of this. And by the way, career goals, I hope one day to be included. Maybe next year. 2026 might be my year. I'm going to be putting in more work for this one.
And then they actually put Miss Rachel on there, Rob. Like, it is amazing how bad these people are at the PR game. Like, that they don't even go, maybe we shouldn't be seen as viciously attacking Miss Rachel for the crime. Like, the lady who sings songs for 3-year-olds. She's a Jew hater, Rob, for committing the crime of going, I sure do feel bad for these Palestinian 3-year-olds. That's what she's guilty of doing.
That's the cardinal sin to the Zionists, though. That's exactly what Candace Owens did when she said that there's, no reason to be saying that all Palestinians are guilty. That there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian. That's what Brian Mass said, and that's what Candace Owens ripped. And Candace Owens had the nerve, the gall, for daring to tweet out, genocide is wrong no matter who does it. That's akin to this, except for Miss Rachel doesn't even really dip her toes into politics that much, except for saying, hey, I don't want murdered babies, including Palestinian babies, but that's enough. For the rigid Zionists, if you don't toe the Hasbara line, they'll attack you and include you on these lists. But it just becomes so absurd that Americans are seeing through it. They know that this is a meme, and Dave's exactly right. It's just a PR disaster to put people like Miss Rachel on this list. It's just... I couldn't even believe it was real at first.
And she goes, man, I think I make, little kid programming because I really love little children. And I think the Palestinian little children count just as much as all the rest of the children. So they put her on a Jew hater, like just imagine. I mean, like, forget even how you feel about the war, just like how to win friends and influence people shit here, Rob. Imagine thinking the move is to viciously attack that lady.
Well, I heard that Miss Rachel got the wrong Holocaust training, and so she doesn't realize how anti-Semitic it is to attack Israel when they're killing kids.
Yes, that's right. The Holocaust training might have messed her up. The list was hilarious. The other two people who I just knew on the list were Bryce Mitchell.
Okay, he said some crazy shit.
Yeah, but
I don't know that he's a noteworthy enough individual, or nor is he taking actions against
lightweight
Jews.
contender. Yes, there's a contender in the lightweight division of the UFC who said some wild shit.
I also
by
think
the
he
way,
thinks the Earth is flat. So
yes, he's been big on the Earth is flat. By the way, and I don't know Bryce Mitchell. I've never met him, but for everything I've ever seen of Bryce Mitchell, he seems like a good dude who gets a little kooky with some of his theories or whatever. And
I don't know Bryce Mitchell at all. Actually, I have no idea really who that is, but I do think it's funny that you don't have like this subset of Zionists that, again, if this was like an NFL game, a football game, it's like, regroup, guys, we have to huddle again. This isn't working. What we're doing to try to sow Zionist propaganda and have these Anti-Semite of the Year awards where Tucker Carlson and Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian and Miss Rachel are among the finalists. We need something else. We need new tricks. We need to employ new strategies to fight this thing. I'm actually surprised there isn't that kind of ilk of Zionists to try to rein in all these absurd excesses. And I say bring them on. At this point, I'm just happy to see this because I know how just odious this is to the typical American that sees this and just laughs at it for how absurd it truly is.
He doesn't seem like a vicious like hater or something, but whatever. And then there was another guy. The guy's name is Guy. I'm blanking on his last name, but he's like, from what I know, I think he's like he's like a 20-year-old streamer or something like that. Who's a real lefty. I know I had one interaction with him ever on Twitter where he like tweeted something at me, and he was like, Dave, you're so good on the Israel issue, but you really got to take another look at socialism. And then I just wrote back, no, just with like an N and then as many O's as they would let me put in. But like I do remember, the only reason I remember it stuck in my mind because I was almost like, oh, maybe I should, like there's something just about like if there's like a streamer or someone who's like in their 20s who's into socialism, but is like good on war and appreciates that I'm good on war, that does make me kind of want to talk to that person. So I remember just like almost like making a note in my head, like, I'd love to talk to this kid because like he thinks I need to look into more socialism, but actually, young man, like you're a guy in your 20s talking to a guy in your 40s who's looked into it more than any of you have. And like, no, actually, you need to look into the other side of it.
Yeah, that's interesting to me too. Whenever I get that, and I do get that, sometimes you need to look into socialism even though you're good on this stuff. It's like, I have Das Kapital, I have the Communist Manifesto, I have What Must Be Done, I have The Revolution Betrayed by Trotsky, I have Results and Prospects. I have a lot of the Marxist literature actually in these shells. I've read a lot of it. I actually use Marxist arguments to oppose them in some of my content, but a lot of people think just if you don't adhere to their branch of economic thought, and by the way, libertarians do this too. Like, a lot of libertarians are convinced if people were able to stumble upon Hazlitt and Rothbard, they'll suddenly become, ardent libertarian economic minds, but that's not true either. So it's wrong just to think that if someone isn't exposed to something that, that's the only missing piece to them adhering to that mantra. It's just not true, but it is funny. And it does come from a lot of very young people that just assume that people never read about this stuff. But I assure you, us, obsessive compulsive readers have read a lot of it.
But like almost like as always with a 20-something-year-old, always like in a friendly way, I'd want to be like, well, look, dude, there's other ideas you haven't considered. But so I don't know anything else about the kid, but like you already know he's just anti-Israel and not actually like a Jew hater. Like it's anyway, it is too goddamn ridiculous. It's amazing. Like watching, I do feel like there are these waves, and perhaps this is somewhat me forcing things into my worldview, but I don't think so. But like it was like during the rise of Trump and like the rise of crazy wokeism, and then during COVID, and then like there would just be these things where you remember we would look around and go like, why is everyone insisting on humiliating themselves? Like it does just seem like a ritual almost at the end of the day. Like you're all just publicly human. And at this point, the Zionists are so there. I mean, they've been engaged in it for years now. It's very strange. Very strange.
Do we know, by the way, do they bracket it?
Sorry.
Like, is it like the Sweet 16 where, they go head to head and then we end up with the champion anti-Semite? How does
I don't know. I don't know who's verifying these elections or like who's overseeing them, what the criteria is. We should demand transparency in this process. Also, they left Candace off. They left Candace off this year, and she's the #1 podcast. She's putting in work.
Yeah, we need to make some March Madness pools, but instead of March Madness, I guess it's December Madness or Anti-Semite of the Year Award 2025. Have your brackets, print them out. Choose the winners, circulate this among your work group, see who comes in first. I don't know about top seeds, but I guess they're putting Tucker Carlson at a top seed. It's just so ridiculous and retarded. There's no other way to say it than that, but here's the tweet. And you can vote right here. We need more votes for Miss Rachel. Join me, guys, in voting in Miss Rachel, the top anti-Semite of the year. Because just imagine those headlines, right? Miss Rachel wins this distinction, and then the headline is children's show host that, complained about Palestinian babies being killed wins anti-Semite of the year. I just don't think these guys thought it through. It almost seems like an op. It almost seems like they're in cahoots with opponents of Israel just to make it look as preposterous as they possibly can for their PR battle. And it is that. It's an information war, but they're just so bad at it. And they continue to be so bad at it. So bad at it that no discerning voices ever win out in these kind of things. Like I said, there's not like an alternative Zionist group that's trying to rein in the Randy Fines and Ben Shapiro's and Mark Levin's doubling down on, well, it's all Hamas and Israel has a right to defend itself, as if that's what they've done for 80 years, and they haven't. It's, just all of their absurd propaganda that supports dragging the U.S. into new wars and bankrolling a genocide and filling the coffers of Netanyahu with billions of dollars while Americans languish, while AIPAC has a special carve-out in the United States to influence our politicians, doesn't have to register under FARA, and it has its own secret nuclear weapons program, the only such power in the world that really has that. And they drag the U.S. into wars on the basis that another country that they don't like Iran, has a secret nuclear weapons program. Just imagine that. So they come up with these contests to make it seem like they can just pin all the blame on Israel, on people that are anti-Semitic in their mind. Yeah, people are not going to buy that Miss Rachel is anti-Semitic. It's so absurd. So I'm actually glad. I kind of welcome this stuff now just because of how insane it is, because that insanity is being noticed. We have a mass noticing going on with stuff like this. So let Anti-Semite of the Year contest continue indefinitely. Keep doing it. Keep pushing Miss Rachel and Tucker Carlson on those lists. And the American people can sort this out themselves. They've done a lot of the sorting out already and rejecting this nonsense that the ADL brings, but that's what we have, right? But let me know, what do you think? Is Dave Smith right? Is this just a total mockery? Is it just a total meme? Like, how much of the American populace actually buys into this? Do they even consider themselves serious about this? Or is Stop Anti-Semitism secret collaborators of the anti-Israel dissident class? Let me know in the comments below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Dave Smith too. Great segment. Thanks for covering it, Dave. If you like this video or my take on it, please consider joining the channel as a YouTube member. You can do that by clicking the join button down below. If you do that, that'll support the channel and I'll really appreciate that. And in doing so, you'll also get access immediately to all of the members only content before it goes live to the general public, so you'll get that right away. Also, if you want a free copy of my first book, Compact of the Republic, click the link in the description below. It'll shoot you off to a site. You just plug in your email, and I'll send you a free PDF of that book. No obligation, no cost whatsoever, just because I appreciate you watching the channel. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.
The Jewish billionaires who gave me all this money are the reason why I recognized the Golan Heights, are the reason why I moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. These people who operate as American citizens, yet are loyal to a foreign country. This is fucking indefensible.
Dave Smith just revealed Trump's mass drop moment when it came to revealing the influence of the Israel lobby over the United States. I covered this in the previous video, but I did want to get Dave's take on him blatantly saying that it was because of the Adelsons, his biggest donors, that he recognized the Golan Heights, that he let him through into the White House, despite how that's not how it's supposed to work. And oh yeah, Miriam Adelson has greater loyalty to Israel than the United States. Let's get his take on this. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country. She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say. We love you. Thank you, darling, for being here. That's a great honor. Great honor. She's a wonderful woman.
All right. I'm sorry, but that is just so wild that he said that out loud. And maybe I'm wrong, or I don't even know if wrong would be the word, because I'm not even saying I believe that, but it almost seemed like he was intentionally needling her. But even if not, it might just be that Donald Trump is Donald Trump. He just says the quiet part out loud because he's incapable of not saying the quiet part out loud. But either way, this is, and this is the thing, this is the dynamic that's really come to light in amongst the American public in a way like never before. That is not going anywhere. As long as this dynamic still exists, once people have seen it, they can't unsee it. But you are saying, I mean, just openly saying that this Jewish couple of billionaires, one of whom was born in, I guess, pre-Israel, I think. She was born in Palestine. The other of whom, Sheldon Adelson, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, Rob, but he's on record saying that his greatest regret in life is that when he served, he wore the U.S. military uniform rather than an IDF uniform, and bragging about how his kids were fine. Like, this dude, this is a multi-billionaire who was an American citizen who had his kids go fight for the IDF. You got to be, that is a level of zealotry, like that's a level of like these are true believers in the cause of a foreign country, even joking about how they are loyal to that country over this country. This woman has given Donald Trump hundreds of millions of dollars in his political campaigns. I think she gave him $100 million in 2024.
He did.
And he is literally saying, these people, the Jewish billionaires who gave me all this money, are the reason why I recognized the Golan Heights, are the reason why I moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. These people who operate as American citizens, yet are loyal to a foreign country. This is fucking indefensible.
Yeah, it is. He's exactly right. And I'm sorry, I think this was a mask drop moment, which is contradictory to Trump intentionally trying to needle Miriam Adelson. That's not what happened here. You know, a lot of people are saying, hey, this is just 4D chess to undermine Adelson and the influence of the Israel lobby. No, it's not that. It's that Trump runs his mouth, and as soon as he gets a positive reception, he also often doubles down on that and goes a step further. This is where that is. So yes, catch me on quote right now, you will not see any turn against the Israel lobby from Trump. You will continue to see the Adelsons be close to Trump. Trump will continue not to suggest that there should be a Palestinian state. It's nothing of that sort. It wasn't needling Miriam Adelson. And actually, when Trump said, hey, this is going to get her in trouble, no, I'm sorry. I mean, that got you into trouble more than Adelson, because people knew what Adelson were. Many people that are paying attention know what Trump is too, but less people are so. And when you divulge the fact that this disproportionate influence exists from these donors and the Israel lobby in general in your administration, that looks worse on you, Trump. It's not Adelson, who people know is a pro-Israel shill, overwhelmingly so, but there's been some delusion that you've been able to perpetuate that you're some independent, anti-establishment thinker, even on this. And more Americans are seeing through this. So no, this wasn't needling Adelson. This was running your mouth and letting the mask drop when you wouldn't exactly want that to happen if you look back on this and had second thoughts.
Like, what can you say about this, Rob?
Well, I think what Trump is doing here, it's classic Trump. It's the same as when the liberals were going after Trump with all of those horrendous lawsuits, and they just had this feeling of, well, we got to get him. Doesn't matter if we're being principled, we got to get him. I don't care. Do what you got to do. Play dirty. You got to get him. And Donald Trump has a similar thing, which is if he's winning, the American people are winning. And so something like this doesn't actually seem bad to him, because to you and I, we're like, wait a second, are you admitting that a Jewish billionaire gave you funds and you enacted a foreign policy because of the campaign donations that they made to you? And so to us, that's the worst thing anyone could admit to. Any foreign donation should not be influencing policy. We all understand it works that way, and your bigger donors shouldn't be able to just walk into the White House and discuss their agenda with you. We all understand that it does work that way, but those are things that you should never say out loud.
Yeah, this is exactly right. That's exactly what this is. Trump letting his ego lead the way, thinking that his supposed victories, which aren't even that, are to be conflated with victories for America, when everyone looks at this that at least has some reason and says, no, this is preposterous. This is the prioritization of a foreign country over that of Americans. How could it be a victory? But to Trump, this is a victory. So I think Robbie is right about that. And I think the same people that are saying, no, this is some grand 4D chess strategy for Trump to undermine the Adelsons are kind of the same people that said, oh no, look at after this war with Iran, Trump is actually mad at Netanyahu. He said the F-bomb. That's proof positive. When that never manifests into actual policy or leverage against the Israel lobby, against Israel in general, against the Adelsons, the pro-Zionist donors that clearly have disproportionate influence in this White House. They always say, oh no, he's actually mad at them, but he never turns to be mad at them. It's all theatrics, again, that doesn't translate into policy that would lessen the stranglehold of pro-Zionist donors like Adelson and the Israel lobby.
But to Donald Trump, look, I managed to get these people to give me enough money that I could win a campaign, and all I had to do was give this to him in return. To him, that's him winning, and his base is so stupid that when he's winning, they feel like they're winning. So he's saying the quiet part out loud in terms of when he pokes at her with she loves Israel even more. That's just classic ADD Donald Trump. And it's neither here nor there, where he does like to kind of jab at people to show you, hey, I'm the boss here. But I don't actually think he was trying to slight her or take aim at her. I think that's just maybe not classic Donald Trump, like ADD aside.
No, you might be right about that, but it was also, he also did have that weird, we don't have to play the video of that. I know you did send that earlier, Rob, but also just the moment where he starts saying you should pardon Netanyahu and all this. It's like, he doesn't have any pardoning power. He's just bringing up that Netanyahu has these charges, like looming in the background. Like, it's like, it's so funny. It's like on the day that you're celebrating signing this ceasefire agreement, and you're like, look, and you really shouldn't put this guy in jail. A lot of people are saying he should go to jail, but I don't know. I say he shouldn't go to jail. They're saying he did terrible things.
That won't age well. It's so sickening. It's revolting. I said in another video that part of this speech was particularly nauseating to me. And by the way, he wouldn't say that if he was trying to needle Adelson and the influence of the Israel lobby. He wouldn't also say, oh no, Netanyahu needs a pardon. That war criminal, the genocidal maniac he is that the whole world can see, except for this pro-Zionist administration, it seems. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's insane. And Netanyahu should go down for those crimes, and he probably never will. But if nothing else, he should go down for fraud and corruption, which they actually have him dead to rights on. He was going to go down for those charges in 2019 and into, or I'm sorry, right before October 7th. There was a scandal developing regarding that. They're still on the table. They've just been delayed because Netanyahu has successfully diverted from that by attacking all of Israel's neighbors, essentially, including Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, Qatar, getting the U.S. sucked into a war with Iran that he's done, and had a genocide in Gaza to kind of divert attention from that. But that's the truth.
But it is just like, especially like, Donald Trump, of course, as you said, he's doing the Donald Trump thing. So he's bragging about his achievements, and he's still got his script down about how it was, moving the embassy, recognizing the Golan Heights, things like that. But like, to the rest of the world, the big policy is the destruction of Gaza that America has been financing for the last 2 years. And so again, in that environment, to just be bragging about this, like, again, just openly bragging. I mean, this is the type of stuff that, like, if Nick Fuentes said this, people would go, oh yeah, that's like fucking what neo-Nazis said. This is like Jew-hating conspiracy theory shit. But just to openly be like, hey, these Jewish billionaires finance my campaign, influence my policies decisions. By the way, did I mention that they're loyal to Israel above the United States of America? It's just like wild to see the president of the United States of America just casually admit that as if it's no big deal.
Yeah, Dave is so right about that. This is the sort of thing that would have you called a conspiracy theorist at the base minimum. So if you said, number one, Israel has a disproportionate influence in the U.S. government, that would make you an anti-Semite. We've all heard that if you say that, you're someone of Providence in a debate, discussion online, you are called an anti-Semite for that. If you say, well, it's because that, the U.S. recognized the Golan Heights and moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, that proves that this idea is borne out, that the Israelis have incredible influence in the U.S. government. They'll say, you're a Jew hater. That's not true. There can't be anything that's true to that, and this is just a conspiracy theory. And then if you say, here's the crescendo, that Miriam Adelson and my top donors are Israel above the United States and can't answer the question of which country they prefer more and love this country beyond imagination, if you say that, then you're guilty of blood libel. This is the case. This is what would be said to any critic of Israel if they said the exact same things verbatim that Trump did. I think this is Dave's best insight here. This is just a mass drop moment, putting it on display for all of us to see, knowing that this truth exists. Seeing the president just say it openly is wild, and I do think it's because he can't help but run his mouth. It's his ego in the lead of everything, with everything else following after that. But the American public sees, and hopefully more and more eyes will be open to this fact, and how revolting and underhanded and counterintuitive this entire unholy alliance is, this Israeli-U.S. relationship, which Americans should want no part of. We shouldn't want Israel first mentality because of all of its ramifications in terms of foreign affairs, foreign policies, getting involved in wars in the Middle East, having our troops stationed there, and in the direct, ability to be hit by Israel's Arab enemies. And for nothing, for debt and inflation. And you can see how it spills over into domestic politics and hate speech codes that deal with anti-Semitism and equating that with being anti-Israel, anti-Zionism. It's just so horrendous, and we see this borne out not only in foreign policy, but in domestic policy. That's a point I try to drive home. But yeah, this was lunacy put on display. I don't think this was an intentional needling of Adelson, despite how many Trumpian 40 chessers come to the board and say, hey, that's exactly what this was. Well, I'll bet you this won't manifest into any kind of anti-Israeli policy on the U.S. end. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Do you think Dave Smith's right? Was he actually trying to needle Adelson? What does this say about American politics? And is Dave right that this would be considered Jew hatred if it was said by a critic of Israel? Let me know down below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to Dave Smith. Great segment here. I think great insight by Robbie there too. If you like my video and my commentary, please consider becoming a YouTube member. You can do that by hitting the join button below. That'd mean the world to me. You'd help support the channel, and in return I'll give you access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on YouTube. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.